Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We are here at the Focal Point Productions studio in Owings Mills, and we are just going to get ready for our live session for discussing Accelerate Baltimore. This is Alex Bullington, the CEO and co-founder of Arbit, and I'm Jackie Albright. I'm the assistant director at the ETC. And yeah, we're gonna wait about 60 seconds or so before we get into our program today.
We've got two eyeballs.
But yeah,
we're just a lot of people.
We're gonna hang out with our two friends here on the internet. One of those may or may not be in the other room. We're not sure. But Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Jackie. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. I know this was just hop, skip, and a jump from where you reside, and. You know,
yeah,
I think
this is cool. I've never done anything like this. This is very, very profesh.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Okay. Andrew Schuster, another graduate of the program, has just joined in. Greetings, Andrew. Yeah, I've always wanted to do one of these. I love when you know, all those Instagram famous people do them. So
well, this is your opportunity.
This is it. This is my moment.
Good Morning America.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we're gonna send this out to a few people. So if you hear some things and you're like, "What are they doing?" It's really just an audition tape for our professional careers as broadcasters.
Right. So I guess we could probably go ahead and begin if you like.
Yeah, I like that number of viewers. 400
yes,
viewers.
They're missing a couple zeros there.
It's a spin team over here. So so let's get started. Why don't we have you, Alex, introduce yourself and tell our audience a little bit about.
So I'm Alex Bullington. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Arbit, and Arbit is the next generation market research platform that empowers customers and builds better brands.
Great.
That's my one line.
That was good. That's important at this stage of the game to really be able to pinpoint what your company does. One first question, before we even dive in, how did you find out about Accelerate Baltimore?
Yeah, great question. So about a year ago, we actually started out as a mobile app, and we were working out of the ETC Haven campus, which is where most of Accelerate Baltimore takes place. We were with Dave and Phil from Loople, and now Founders Approach. Hey, Dave and Phil. And they recommended that we sign up for Accelerate Baltimore. And I'd never been a part of an incubator before, so I wasn't really sure how to approach it, but we applied and then we pitched to get in, and that's where I met you, even though I knew a little bit about you before then. And it turned out to be one of the best decisions we've made as a company in the last 2 years.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. We will definitely talk a lot more about your experience. That's one of the benefits of the program is that we are in really good touch with our graduates, and they're here to help other people make the decision whether or not Accelerate Baltimore is the program for them. But before we talk about Accelerate Baltimore, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the ETC. The ETC is a nonprofit venture of the city of Baltimore. Our parent company is the Baltimore Development Corporation, and we run a series of programs to help support entrepreneurs here in the city. So in addition to the Accelerate Baltimore program, which again, I don't want to spoil anything, this is going to get exciting. We also run a business incubator, Incubate Baltimore, space support services for entrepreneurs and tech-focused startups here in the city that we run out of the Haven campus as well as the ETC Eastern campus. We run a co-working program called Beehive Baltimore, which is located at our Haven location, and that is great for remote workers, small teams. We have some great startup nonprofits there who really want to be part of our community and in and around like-minded people. It's based on frequency and keeps overhead low for those small and individual workers.
That's a mouthful.
I know. And I'm trying to do this high level. And last but not least, our newest program is the Pioneer Baltimore program for our idea stage friends who still have a full-time job, and maybe you've run out of friends and family who want to hear about your idea. The Pioneer Baltimore program is a 9-week boot camp, and we use the Co-Starters program to help move people from idea to more of a concept stage. And applications for our Pioneer program are also open. Very exciting, and we'll be running that program this spring out of the University of Baltimore. So shout out to Henry and University of Baltimore for hosting us for that program. But at the end of the day, ETC is really a resource here in the city to connect entrepreneurs and startups to what they need when they need it. And we have a really awesome community. Over 450 companies have gone through some of our programs, and most of our grads remain here in the city. And if you're looking to get involved with the Baltimore ecosystem, there are over 30 other programs here in the city to help support you. So we're all ready, we're all a resource. So if you're watching this from outside of the Baltimore and Maryland area, just know that Baltimore is a great place for you to start and grow your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you. So Accelerate Baltimore was the first accelerator in the city. It started back in 2012. To date, we have 34 program graduates. 62% of our Accelerate Baltimore graduates are still in business. We've had one graduate company recently acquired. And really important, this program is funded through the ABLE Foundation. And to date, the ABLE Foundation has awarded Accelerate Baltimore participants $1,025,000 in funding. And from that, funding from the ABLE Foundation, they've gone on to raise over $15.7 million in follow-on funding to date.
That's wild.
Yeah. And there are also 90 jobs here in the city of Baltimore, all from these program graduates. So we're really proud of the impact that this program continues to have on the city of Baltimore. Yeah. Well, you may not know this, but ETC's mission is really to promote economic development here in the city, and the Accelerate Baltimore program is just one way that we do that. Like I said, it started in 2012. We typically select cohorts of 6. We pull together a separate group of advisors and mentors, but in addition to the Accelerate Baltimore mentors, you also get, as you know, access to all the things that ETC has to offer through our Incubate program, which is just basically the full support of everything and anything that we have, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Workspace, as Alex mentioned, and different startup perks to things like AWS, Amazon Web Services, and BizSpark. And again, anything else that you think you need a discount for, we'll help you get that.
Yep.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, we're here to help and provide connections. And yeah, that's a big part of it. I mean, that's a big one. Connections
very
to
big part of it, yes,
connections to customers, connections to talent, connections to getting questions answered. That's just basically a large portion of what we do.
We have no questions yet. It's okay, they will come.
They're going to phone them in. So let's talk about this program again. It's, continue to talk about it. It's a 13-week program where we award 6 companies $25,000 in seed funding, again, through the ABLE Foundation in the form of a convertible note. And what's really exciting, this is going to be our 3rd year of this program where we award an additional $100,000 in funding to one participant of the program at the end. So one startup, will have the impact of $125,000 in funding to move their business forward, and that's really the goal of this program, is to take your company from point A to point B. Maybe you'd like to share kind of a little bit before we move on where Arbit is today post-program.
Sure. So after we got into Accelerate Baltimore, we took $25K, grew. As I mentioned, we were focused on a social mobile app at the time, and that money, as well as the incubation, as Jackie mentioned, providing us with access to mentors, learning from some incredibly smart people, helped us to grow our business. We started to bring on some clients at that time. We then took that money, as I said, and went to receive follow-on funding from TEDCO. After TEDCO, we then went on to raise an equity crowdfunding campaign through Indiegogo and Microventures. And I always look back, and I'm not really sure what would have happened if we weren't in Accelerate Baltimore, because at the time when we joined, it was very early stage for us, and we were still figuring out nuances of our business, how to really scale our platform. And you get to learn from some of the most well-respected people in Baltimore, but people that have been there and have done that. So since then, we have now actually pivoted our business model. We are no longer focused on an app, But today, Arbit essentially focuses on how we can revamp the survey space. And one thing that was always a passion for us was how can we empower people? How can we give them a voice? And today, like, I've never met somebody that has taken a survey from one of the platforms out there today and said, wow, I really liked taking that survey. We know that they're bland, they're monotonous, and we're trying to change the status quo for companies and really take people through an immersive experience. And we are now partnered with a couple of schools and universities. We partnered with a couple of apparel companies as well as some companies in the food and bev industry. So we are moving and grooving, but Accelerate Baltimore was a huge part of us getting to where we are today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks. Good update. So, meeting Alex and hearing about Arbit, you might be wondering what we're looking for in a company that should apply to Accelerate Baltimore. We're looking for startups that are solving a large problem. They're using technology to solve this problem. They have a really passionate founding team. As you heard, Alex is pretty passionate about what he's working on, and the rest of his team are as well. Are pre-revenue and or have not raised a significant round of funding. We really want to make sure that companies that are participating in this program really have this program really has an impact on their trajectory. So, you know, we want to help people get to that first dollar of revenue. Again, we want to help people bring their product to market, essentially. That's usually the big milestone that we've seen in companies that participate in this program. But, you know, usually companies participating haven't raised a large round of funding. They might have had some founders capital,
Right.
friends and family. But you know, we're typically the first outside kind of investor in these ventures.
Exactly.
When they get to this program. And of course, ready to work, a team that's ready to work as hard as they can for these 13 weeks, because it is a finite period of time and we're looking to really see a large impact. So if that sounds like you, you might want to apply.
So we actually do have a question here real quick.
Oh, great.
How do we join or apply?
Excellent. So if you'd like to apply, you can go to the Accelerate Baltimore website, which is just www.acceleratebaltimore.com. And applications are open until February 18th, so not too much time left. So please check that out.
That was from Felicia Berry.
Thanks, Felicia, for your question. So now, okay, you've applied, you've gone, and maybe I'll talk a little bit about the application process. So
Thanks,
we have.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Phil has just shared the link to apply in the comments section. So in terms of process to apply, definitely getting all the information you can, like attending or listening to this info session is definitely step one. There's an online application on our website that I mentioned. After you complete that, we will send you part 2 of our application, which will be coming from the Emory University. And after we get both written applications submitted by the 18th, we will select about 15 to 20 companies for an in-person pitch. And it's a typical investor pitch, and we will communicate kind of an outline of what we're expecting in case this is your first rendezvous at this. We want to make sure everyone we level out the playing field so everyone knows what to expect. We try to be as transparent as possible, and from the in-person pitches we select the 6, and we are looking to start the program on March 12th. And again, I'll go over that timeline. Hello, Greg. Good morning.
Hey, Greg.
Greg has joined us, the other co-founder of Arbit. You might be asking what we cover in the 13-week program at this point.
It's a lot to cover.
It's a lot. And we try, again, the thing to keep in mind is we don't pick a specific industry to focus on. So our cohorts are pretty diverse in terms of industry, and we try to tailor the program to the needs of the cohort at the time. So this is kind of just an overview of some of the topics that we kind of dive into or try to provide focused assistance in. Things like strategy, marketing, product launch, business development, operations, investor readiness, and pitching and coaching. And we will be, again, this will be probably our 3rd year using the Pitch Creator program, which was developed by one of our local Baltimore Angels and investor friend Jason Tagler, if you remember that program.
Jason's very good.
Yes, shout out to Jason. And so we will be, and that'll be a mix of kind of at-home work as well as in-person pitch practice.
Right.
So definitely not the focal point, but there is an investor pitch at the end. So we want to make sure everyone is ready. It's really about moving your company forward.
Yeah, it helps. I mean, the pitch practice is one of the things that we needed to work on going into the program. I think the first time we ever actually pitched was when we got into Accelerate Baltimore. But then I practiced with Dave and Phil. I mentioned them earlier. Jason's outline was excellent. I thought that helped me a lot because it really narrows down all aspects of your pitch that mean the most to investors, and that's Jason's approach. I think a lot of times people will try to pitch and cover as much as they possibly can in 10 to 20 minutes, whereas I believe the Accelerate Baltimore pitch is only about 7 minutes, and then there's Q&A. So being able to finely tune your pitch and really be incisive with your information is what we cover, and it was extremely valuable.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Again, I mentioned this timeline, but just so if you can see it behind me, but applications close again on the 18th. We have those finalist pitches happening at the end of February. We hope to announce our winners the first week of March for the program to start on the 12th. And our investor pitch night, as we were just talking about, which is a very exciting and fun evening, is going to be in early June.
So we have a quick question from
Yeah.
Terry Leach. What options are there to get access to the AWS negotiated rates that ETC negotiated? So that would be part of what AWS has to offer and how ETC provides that.
Sure.
With the package we received last year, I'd have to respond back to you, Felicia, or I'm sorry, excuse me, Terry, but I think it was maybe 25,000 in credits. I'd have to look back.
I think the option that we have currently, though, if Amazon Web Services is listening, we'd like to up the amount that we have for our
Shout out
companies.
AWS.
If you're listening,
But it is very helpful. I mean, that was a great perk,
Right now, the current option we have is it's $5,000 in credits for up to a 2-year period.
Right.
But again, we're hoping to renegotiate and bump that up a little bit because I know that is important. But
Yeah.
definitely something. Again, we'll try our hardest to kind of work with our companies and what they need and try to provide the best things that we can. Let me just highlight our grads really quick. I know some of them are listening and watching. Hello. Again, we have over 34 graduates of this program. 62 are still in business today. So definitely want to give a shout out to our friends out there, especially the ones watching. So Loophole, I know you guys are watching, and News Up. Well, now we should be calling them Further Insights. My bad.
Further Insights.
Yes, and tonight, Gunbale's on our screen back here. They just graduated the program. Tonight we will be at Johns Hopkins in Wyman Park. If you check our Eventbrite page or our Accelerate Baltimore website, we have another in-person info session, and
Trevor's amazing.
Trevor from Gunbale will be there
That
to kind
is-
of give his take on the experience.
Yes.
And shout out to all our friends. Again, for you, we're up to 14. If you're just joining us or
Nice.
just tapping in, I do want to give another shout out to ZMB Media. Zephin has been a longtime supporter of ETC and helping us out today, and the Focal Point Production Studio for hooking us up this morning and providing us with this awesome setup for our Facebook Live. But yeah, so that's kind of like a high-level overview of the program.
Right.
Okay, great. We're almost at 20 minutes.
Nice.
Let's see. I have a few questions to kind of talk about Alex's experience. That's usually
Sure.
the part of the program that we offer now.
Yes.
What would you say your favorite experience was? Your favorite part of the program?
That's a great question. I mean, there was a lot that the program had to offer. I would say, so much like today, I think the best part of my job is that I get to work with people that are smarter than me. I mean, anyone from my co-founder Greg to our development team. It's a pleasure to work with them, and that was the same thing with Accelerate Baltimore. So the mentors and the entrepreneurs, much smarter than I was, and I was able to learn from them and take in all sorts of different feedback, different points of emphasis that they had when they were growing their startups, and people come from different backgrounds. So we got the lay of the land from legal aspects, marketing, sales, biz dev, and really how to solve a problem that people want and they have a need for your product and they want to buy that. So I think one of the things in particular was just the amount of knowledge that was involved with the program, both the entrepreneurs, the mentors, certainly you and Deb are no slouches. So I really appreciate working with you guys. Yeah.
Shout out to Deb Tillett,
Deb.
the president of the ETC.
Presidente.
Let's see what else. We have some questions from the fans out there.
Yes.
They just hit us up here. What's one quirky thing that you do each day? People want to know.
I would have to say, it's an interesting question. I'm sure Greg will laugh when I say this. I take a cold shower every morning, whether it's 80 degrees or 20 degrees. It's more or less just about kind of getting my mind right. And I think if I can kind of put myself in an uncomfortable situation to start the day, it translates to any other situation I face throughout the rest of the day. So cold shower every morning. Yep.
Interesting.
It's very, very quirky.
Breaking news.
Yeah, embracing my quirkiness.
Alex takes a cold shower every day. Okay, looks like we have some questions from some more fans. One fan by the name of Greg, how valuable was the mentorship aspect of the program?
Yeah, same thing, Greg, great question. I still keep in touch with plenty of the mentors from the program. That is probably the most valuable piece of what we got out of Accelerate Baltimore. So as I mentioned before, it's not just the mentors they have, but the people that you can connect with. So like this is the third time I've given a shout out to Dave and Phil, but they helped me go through my pitch a lot. I remember practicing with them on multiple occasions. So you get pitch practice from all sorts of people that have been there. You get to speak with people about different areas that they focus on. So we would bring in mentors, entrepreneurs that have experience, whether, like I said, it was in sales or legal work, and we would always have sessions with them, and they really get you thinking about different parts of your business. And that's important. You can never be single-minded, and you certainly can't be myopic. How can we always think about ways to move forward and think long-term? I think sometimes that's where entrepreneurs struggle. It's always burying their head in their work and not being privy to all the things that are going around them. And the mentorship from Accelerate Baltimore provided that. So extremely valuable.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Okay. So we have another question. Is it this one's from Felicia? Is this okay for those startup companies who are in operating phase but not fully off the ground? Yeah. So maybe
Absolutely.
You can talk to where you were when you started the program.
Yeah, when we started, as I mentioned, we were just getting off the ground as a social mobile app. And even though we've pivoted to something since then, we were pretty far along compared to some of the other companies, but it wasn't by much. I mean, most companies had either a very solid idea that they were just getting off the ground or they were out and looking to scale. And I think that's where we were with the app. We were live. I think we had about 1,000 downloads at that point in time. And I mean, shout out Accelerate Baltimore. I think by the time we were through the program, we were just at about 75 to 80,000 downloads at that point in time. So you talk about over 3 months, and that's what Accelerate Baltimore helped us do is, how can we attract users? How can we get people onto our platform? And we started generating revenue in that time. So yeah, certainly whether you are just an idea or you have something tangible and you're just getting started and you might be a little bit further ahead than some other companies, it doesn't matter. Accelerate Baltimore and their team will help you find ways to get you to where you need to go. So that was very good to point out. Yeah. Great question.
Yeah, and we do, we do keep it pretty broad and we don't add too many restrictions on where you are, but we do ask that you have at least, put in some, in and around having a minimum viable product, something that you've tested with a few potential users, definitely done your homework in terms of market, customer development or discovery, and helping us understand where you are in terms of traction with your venture is always great.
Right.
And happy to talk kind of after the fact if you have very specific, is this okay? Am I at the right stage? Feel free to shoot me an email. My email is right on the Accelerate Baltimore website, or comment below, and we can get connected with you to answer any specific to your venture questions. I know we have some people texted a few in.
Well.
I got a question from a gentleman, Yair Flicker here. Can I reapply if I applied in years past? Yes, sometimes people do apply and they aren't selected. It is pretty competitive. We do get anywhere from 75 to 100 applicants on average. This will be our 7th year we're doing this program, but definitely apply. Even I've heard from people who have applied, it's really, especially if this is your first program like this that you're applying to, it's helpful to go through this process and answer the questions that we're asking, and at least, come up with what those responses are and build off of that.
Sure.
I would say sometimes people are too early, and sometimes they are not selected. So you can definitely reapply.
Right.
Let's see. Do I need a technical co-founder? Again, we are looking for companies that are using technology to solve a problem. If you aren't the technical founder, or if you don't have a technical co-founder, that's okay.
Right.
I believe your team was
we did not have a technical co-founder. Greg and I are business guys. We saw a problem and we went about solving that, but we outsourced some of our development, and then now we have a couple of developers that work here for us, and especially Katie. Shout out Katie. And it's important that no matter what you're doing, I think, Jackie, you would agree, wherever the tech talent comes from, whether it's as a co-founder or somewhere else, that you're just focused on solving a problem, and a problem that's scalable. And I think that as long as you're proving that out, you guys will see that, and you'll put yourself in a pretty good position to at least get into your pitch, and then we'll see if you get selected. But the technical aspect, and you can probably elaborate more on that, but I don't think it is detrimental if you don't have a technical co-founder.
Yeah, I think it just depends on how you're going to use this 13 weeks to move your company forward.
Exactly.
If you don't.
Yeah.
So if you have a plan, someone you're working with that isn't part of your founding team, great. And potentially an area that we can help you navigate as well. Let's see. Can service companies apply?
Depending.
Yeah, so I think again, we're typically looking for product companies that are looking to go the venture route, and accept outside capital to pursue what they're doing. So there are some hybrids of services that are using technology or technology enabled, but a pure kind of consulting opportunity, not necessarily a venture that we're looking to for this program. But there are other opportunities, whether it's mentorship or advice and guidance that you're looking for, that we could potentially assist in there. I'll say that.
Phil has a question. Phil DeMuro was asking, looking back, is there anything you would have changed early on, Alex? And yeah, I think our team would agree that early on we would have done more, or would have adopted more of a lean startup methodology. That's something that, and I'm sure you would agree to that, Phil, as well, and other entrepreneurs should focus on. Is now, today, I think we've had a lot more success since our pivot, because we were out having conversations with customers early and often, shipping products before they were even well built or even looked great, and that helped us take in feedback very quickly. And now we're looking to scale, and we're in a pretty good spot where we are today. But I think back then, especially when you're talking about mobile apps are tough. And I think if we had an underlying problem that we were trying to solve, I think today we're starting to realize what that should have been. But it took us more or less a year to get to that point. So I think, coming up with hypotheses, testing that out in the market, speaking with customers early and often, and failing fast, so to speak, it's very important, because you'll quickly realize whether or not you have a product market fit. And there's nothing worse than clinging to an idea that you think will go somewhere, but you end up wasting resources along the way. So early conversations, test your hypotheses, have conversations with customers, your team, and really try to solve a problem with as minimal resources as possible. And then when you want to solve that at a greater scale, that's when you bring on funding. And I think if you put yourself in that position, that's where Accelerate Baltimore can mean so much more, rather than kind of clinking your way through and trying to figure it out. But that is the point of the program. So great question, Phil. Great question.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I think,
Nice.
we've been, this is something that we tried last year and we brought it back this year, going live and kind of talking to everyone from this side of the things. And I think this is a good place to kind of wrap up.
Sure.
Hello, Amanda. Thanks for joining. So any final remarks on the program, or?
I think people don't realize how hard startups are. I mean, there's this fantastical notion of how glamorous startups might be, and while they are amazingly fun, they're also excruciatingly tough at times, and you got to be willing to grind. Like Jackie said, I mean, it's 13 weeks, and you have to be willing to get the most out of it. Always attend the sessions, connect, network, and you'll be able to go places. But it's just having a mentality that you're here to work, you're here to prove out that you've got a business model, and they're here to help. So yeah, be tenacious. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you, Alex. Again, I want to thank ZMB Media and the Focal Point Production Studio for hosting us today for our Facebook Live info session about the Accelerate Baltimore program. Again, applications are open until February 18th. You just have to ask yourself the question, what can you do with $25,000 and an entire community supporting you? I'm Jackie Albright. I'm the Assistant Director at the ETC.
And I'm Alex Bullington, the CEO and co-founder of Arbit. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks. And again, hit us up on our website, www.acceleratebaltimore.com. If you have any other questions, the ETC team is here to help you. Have a great day.
Woo!